Welcome back to Global Book Network, the best show where we sit down with authors and ask them their whys and their hows. My name is Football Boys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And well, you are in for a treat, one that works the brain as well. Please welcome the author of Beginnings of a Codebreaker, RoyMArceRoldan. What's going on, sir?
Good afternoon, Flobo. I'm just grateful, brother, to literally be part of your programming.
Hey, the
Global Book Network really has met the need.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine because I really want to be able to sit down and chat about your book today, Beginnings of a Codebreaker. But let's take a step back. When did you decide that you were going to become an author? Do you remember that moment?
Well, no. So the book is a product of healing from something that happened in my life that was traumatic. I was being called names at work and had a PTSD moment. I'm a former Marine, and I regressed back to almost having violent moments. And my psychologist asked me to really sit back and not act on those thoughts and visions or on the emotions. And the book is a product of it. I started doing research on what is real to me. And that research crossed words, and the book is a product of how I thought about presenting the research.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, first things first, man, thank you for your service. But I understand that when you're in such a high pressured environment, I mean, it really is so many ways you can take what your environment gives you and give it back to, like violent outbursts, something like that. But it really was a conscious decision to write. I'm glad that you did that. Was that something you said, look, I got to do something positive for myself? Did you push yourself to like not resort to violence and revert back to where you were? What was the thought process behind that?
Well, I felt betrayed, so when betrayal happens, resentments come next, right? And it's not something that you can like cure by just snapping your fingers, right? You have to like really do and it's a personal experience. For me, it was years of process, and like literally trying to, like you said, revert back to where I was my best, before all that damage happened.
Yeah.
And I'm not there yet, but I'm not where I used to be, which is the best thing.
Yeah, you know what? We're all works in progress, and that's giving yourself the grace to realize that. It's kind of I won't say fun. Fun is probably the wrong word, but it is kind of interesting when we take a step back and say, hey, look, our lives could have gone in multiple different ways, but the path I walk is the path I walk. So thank you for being here today, man. Like the fact that you're here today is amazing.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, no, it's a miracle. I live in Oakland, and Oakland has screens on the side of the freeways that are like video. And they, the city of Oakland is actually promoting mental health.
Yeah.
And they put out messages on the videos every 3 minutes or something. And one of them says, notice the miracles.
Yeah.
And miracles are not only, big miracles, they're little bitty things. And I'm starting to notice that. And it's really taking a major part in my recovery.
Yeah. Talk to me. Who is Little X to you?
Okay, so Little X is, I guess, I've actually never thought about that question, but he's all of us, I guess, or it's an X, so it's all of us.
Yeah.
It's just a person, in this case, a young one, that starts to get that life experience, and like you mentioned earlier, we don't know what we're going to be crossing. And in this case, he happened to just cross this experience unknowingly, just based on a beady seed that he heard, from himself,
Hmm.
and actually moved on it, had the had the presence to take action and start collecting those words, and then yeah, he finding something out that he had no clue about by at the end of that one day.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to spoil the fun here, but the idea about the beginnings of a code breaker, there is a bit of an element of interactivity in the book. It looked like it was kind of fun to create, talking about that process, creating a character, creating a story, and still having an interactive element.
Yeah, copy that. It was, this whole book writing, I did not see it coming.
Okay.
I did not know I was going to write a book 7 years ago. But after, doing that little setting myself back and really turning everything off, it did, and doing the research that I was talking about earlier, it did end somewhere. And the presentation was where I had to make a choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the choice became, exactly writing the most softest way to present it, which is a little kid and innocent, young kid, experiencing his birthday, and yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, because I understand that you could have just had a straight story. You could have just been like, little X says A, B, C. Thanks for reading. Catch you later,
Oh yeah,
But
exactly. That's right. Let me go back. Okay, um, so then I had to strategize. I didn't want to be too abrupt. And what I mean by that, for example, like, nobody I mean, people do wonder, but no one really kind of talks about it.
Mhm.
How Elon Musk, for example, bought Twitter, and then Twitter just got renamed a short time after, like, to X, right? And so to some extent, it does the presentation. You, what I'm saying, that, like, that's a great thing that he was doing. That's like something major. He's one of the richest man in the world, and making a move like that and not being questioned, has it's not something that's just small that's being dismissed. It's a big thing, right? For me at least. And this book relates to that, to the power of switching Twitter, for example, to an X, which is here. So that, in whether somebody knocked on his door and said, "Hey, pal, tomorrow you're going to name it X,"
Yeah.
whether that's real or not, it's power and direction and intense direction. If all that is really kind of true, well then I had to somehow tone it down as possible and be super strategic on how to do what he did, but just in a whole different way. And the product was a little kid, like I was saying, waking up on his 6th birthday and going through his day, and through sounds and phonetical sounds and words, start the beginnings of doing something great, not only for himself, but eventually in the next book, will do something great for society.
So bold moves rule the day, and I understand that. Making sure it's an easy on ramp for us, to the listeners and readers, excuse me, to see how a child makes those kind of bold moves. It makes sense. Now, you had mentioned a next book, so we're already thinking a series around this story, correct?
Yes, sir. Well, at least, well, yeah, I don't see. I'm new at this, Flobo. So I don't know if it's called a series because I'm thinking a series kind of stays within the same age group. And my plan is to, let's say this one's about a 6-year-old child. The other book is about an adolescent child and this code thing getting a little greater. And now him experiencing uh, products of life of an older child or, preteen, teen years.
Hey, we all grew up with Harry Potter. I mean, Harry was 8 in the first book,
Oh,
and he
that's
was
right.
like 18 when he
See,
graduated.
that's right. So it would be a series. Yeah, man. I'm learning, brother.
Hey, you know what? That's what I love about this, because even if you've written or you're an author for 30 or 40 years, there's always so much things to learn. As of right now, I've written about 7 books myself, most fiction, one nonfiction, and I've learned a new thing and every time I come up with something. So let me ask you this: in the pages, in the drafts, in the versions upon versions of making this as complete as possible, what did you learn about yourself as an author and creator in creating this?
Um, well, I was actually in recovery, um, in residential recovery for PTSD and substances. So I learned a lot while I was in there. I was in there for 90 days. It's a veteran program, Summit State, out of Saratoga. It's actually the wing of Summit State that holds veterans or helps veterans. Is called Fortitude Recovery. And not only did I learn things about me, right, and strengths, like taking all that trauma and making them all gains. Um, yeah, I mean, I had the time and the presence to get active, and with their help and holding me accountable, and myself trying my best to hold my self accountable for returning on investment, not only for the staff there, for family and the Veterans Association administration, um, making an investment in me. Um, I didn't want to waste any time. I want a return on investment, and that those things actually were reinforced, and I learned that I can write, and I'm still teachable, and if I actually go into the stretch from the stretch to the panic zone, um, products like this could happen. Things that new boundaries, new horizons can open up, and yeah, I think this is all the start of my new second life.
And that's amazing. A lot of long-term listeners know that I'm a civilian, but I work alongside the United States Air Force. If you can look, I'm a plaques on the wall. I'm an honorary commander. What that means is, as a civilian, I get to observe what some of the units do in the military. And frankly, there are some programs out there to help out people that really put their lives on the line. So I can't say I know, but I think I'm closer to understanding the kind of work that goes in to make sure everyone is as best as they can be.
Thank
So
you.
what does it mean to be a code breaker? I mean, 2025. I remember when I was a kid, we had little decoder rings. You were passing out notes that had different things. What does that mean to the next generation? What does it mean to be a code breaker today?
Well, um, I guess that's a tough one, right? Because code breaking, that it's actually a war dynamic. World War II, we won because of code breaking. So there's many, like you were just saying, there's many degrees. Like even in prisons, there's codes, and there's codes in policing, and like it's, but for example, let me just be specific on what's in here, right? So the the code that little x gets into is a governing dynamic code, right? Like he's going to cross into a society world universal building code. For example, if you, Mr. Flobo, 2025 years ago, wanted to build a new world, right? How would you do it? And one of those dynamics would be being or codifying things, you know. And I think I just want to, trigger if there is even a possibility of that. If it, if there is now a code that has built or has been used to build our society, are we a product of a certain code? Is there a base to that?
Oh, yeah.
And what like I said, I would like for people to kind of take that and maybe start experiencing their own way of becoming a code breaker, or at least because that's a very small part of our society, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that, creating that interest, it's inclusive, right? It's presenting the option to everyone to get into that realm.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Like the idea of what we think about, like when we play board games and what a code is very simplified to what code can actually be in practice. And I appreciate you brought that to the forefront within the pages of your book. But I ask you this as an author as well. When do you write? Is it when the inspiration strikes? Is it in the morning time? You set time aside? Like what time do you make out for your craft?
Well, I actually created the outline a long time ago, maybe 4 years ago. It's when I created my first short version of the book. And I had many versions, and it was maybe a year process. So, and it was like, I only came up with 3 pages. So it was all over the place. I mean, I was homeless for a while, and it was whenever I had the opportunity. But with this book, it was, I mean, I did get help from the publisher, and my writing capabilities are basic. They're more business type writings, or document creation. So it was whenever. It was like it was definitely not during the night, but I guess I can't take the whole credit. I did get help, and it was all throughout the day. It was a 6-month project.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was just whenever we could meet and talk and add and subtract.
So it sounds to me that you had an idea that was burning your heart and soul, and you found a way to make it happen by hook or by crook, and you did it on a process or schedule. And you can't be like, I'm new at this. Like that is the process, man. Like you're here. You're on the main stage, man. So
Back to what little X was doing, taking the time to just do it whenever, writing the little words as he's seen them, and Same thing. It was whenever the thought came, get on the book, don't miss it, type stuff.
And
Type sketch.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because sometimes I come across like a hobby or a process I don't know, and I just pretend what would a main character in a movie do, and of course the music comes on and it's like, let's get to work.
Oh
and,
yeah.
then you just do the thing, man. It's amazing. If someone were to pick up a copy of Beginnings of a Codebreaker, what do you want them to take away from Little X and his adventure?
Well, hopefully, being able to figure out his name first,
Right.
right? For adults, it's easier. From the tests that I've done with children, not one child has been able to figure it out without the help of an adult in their life, which was my intention, right?
Mm.
I wanted to have, a, a give a kid an opportunity, all kids the opportunity to be able to first look in there, dip into the book, and figure it out, right? But if not, to go for help. And then when the cavalry shows up, to definitely have an experience of accomplishment. And then from there, growing into or trying to create the questioning as to why little X's name is what it is and why it's there so many times.
Right.
And so it's like opening up a door into the word developers. Do we have word developers? Is there a reason why and a pattern as to that is used to create words? Why is it in so many words?
Yeah.
For example, can I say something about your name?
Sure. Hit me.
So Flobo is two phonetical sounds, right?
Yeah.
Flow, as you know, it could be, or it is FLOW,
Mm-hmm.
right? You just don't use it because the W in that case is it's like they call it the Illuminati E. It could just be, it's there, but you don't, it's just there. But the flow though, FLOW, was used a long time ago in Greece.
Oh.
And it's actually my name. So if you look up flow in Greek, it'll turn it around on Google to Roy.
Wow.
Not Roy like that, but it's more like Roy or something. It's got its own little pronunciation. So that's the most ancient word for current or moving water.
Wow.
And then the Roy gets kind of manipulated and into Spanish, or for example, Portuguese, like in Brazil, the name of Janeiro River is Rio, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you see how the O and the I exchange places? That's expanding and word manipulation. Does that make sense?
Over
So
time and language. Yeah.
yes, sir. So again, flow, you can say flow de Janeiro.
I would love to.
And then the bow is the ark, right?
Yeah.
I've read the Bible a couple of times where um, Genesis 9, maybe 12. There's, depending on the version that you pick up, they describe the covenant of God with us is the ark or the rainbow or the bow. And then there's many versions, right? You got the bow, this bow, right? So
Yeah.
you
Bow and arrow. Yeah.
got bow and arrow, and yeah, the bow of a boat.
It totally takes me back to, I guess, 20 years ago now, when the Da Vinci Code was on everyone's mind, how we were trying to figure out puzzles in books. And I just love the fact that an element of that is there, and it's generational. So you can play with your nieces and nephews or your uncles and aunts, depending on your age. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to buy a copy of Beginnings of a Codebreaker or interact with you, Roy, how do they go about doing that?
I started a Facebook. I mean, I'm so new at this. I'm trying to figure it out and trying to get help. But I started a Facebook page called the Beginnings of a Codebreaker, or Beginnings of a Codebreaker, and yeah, my phone number is listed there. My email address is there, and anyone is free to reach out and talk about it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate that. The Global Book Network thanks you for your time. You know, hopefully we get to come back again when you have the next books in the series. We're doing it, right?
Yeah, that would be cool, bro. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.